Chosen one, listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because right now you're staring at the kind of door that doesn't just creak closed, doesn't just ease itself away or melt into the wall. It slams. There's a sound, a finality, a force behind it that makes your chest tighten and your breath stop for a second. Maybe you heard it last week, or maybe it was just yesterday, some offer that vanished, a friendship that cut you off without warning, an email you were waiting for that never came, or a phone ringing into silence while your hope unraveled. Right now, as you're reading these words, you felt that slam echo in your bones. Not just a door shutting, but a moment when what you thought was next, what you were sure was promised, gets yanked away so hard you fall back stunned. Let me tell you what's happening when a door slams shut with that much violence, that much noise, that much pain you can still taste as you wake up in the night. Right now, in the realm where you can't see, decisions are being made about your next season. Decisions that don't bend to your timeline, that don't answer to the plans you penciled into your calendar. They don't care about your spreadsheets or your careful budgeting. They don't obey the logic that makes sense at midnight, when you're certain you've earned your breakthrough and your only question left is, God, when? The truth is, heaven's timing almost never aligns with your expectation. Heaven right now is seeing what you can't see. Conversations about you that you weren't invited to. Consequences that would crush you if you walked through the wrong door, betrayals waiting just out of sight. Let me take you deep into what it feels like at 3 a.m., when the world is silent and that slammed door is louder than any noise outside. You're lying on your back, eyes wide open, and it's like your chest is being squeezed in a vice. You replay the conversation. Was it something you said? Was the pitch not good enough? Why didn't you see the signs? The questions come like a flood. What do I do now? How am I supposed to pay these bills if this gig doesn't come through? What are people going to say if they find out this fell apart? There's shame under the skin, buzzing like static you can't turn down. Sometimes you get up, find yourself standing over the kitchen sink with a glass of water in your hand just to prove you can still move. You grab your phone, scroll through messages, hoping for a sign that you made it all up. But the silence is even sharper. Maybe you pace, try to pray, mouth the same words over and over. Help! Fix this, open that door again, please. If you've got pills for sleep, you take one, maybe two. You hope they'll knock you out, but your mind is louder than any sedative. The next hour drags like eternity, and when the morning sun finally spills through the blinds, it's not relief, it's exposure. You still don't know what comes next. Your hands shake making coffee. Everything feels 10 degrees colder than it should be. You shower, you dress, you make it look normal to anyone watching, but inside you're crouched in the rubble, listening to that slamming sound replay, asking again, God, why? Let me tell you the mystery behind that slamming door. It's not always a no, it's sometimes a not yet. Sometimes it's a never, but not because you're being denied. Because what's behind that door is poison, a setup, a shortcut that would have cost you everything in ways you can't imagine right now. The deal that looked like the answer to your money problems? Hidden strings, hidden traps, partners with smiles and sharpened teeth. That friend who cut you off with no warning? The gossip behind your back would have split your life open a few months from now if you'd kept trusting them. That engagement, the one person you thought was your safe place, suddenly gone cold, gone distant, gone for good. God wasn't just closing the door, He was sparing you from years of heartbreak that would have left you questioning your value at the core. Every slammed door is protecting you in ways you won't see until the relief comes, until your tears have dried and hindsight finally brings clarity. Right now, let me paint you what happens next when a door slams shut. Consequences ripple through your finances first. Maybe you count every dollar in your checking account, feeling the numbers slip with every unpaid invoice. The emergency fund is gone. You call in every favor, ask for an extension, but the answer is always just out of reach. It's right there, close enough to hurt, but always no. Not now. Not this time. You wonder, why not just a little more grace? But let me tell you, the closed door in your finances is heaven refusing to let you build on foundation made of sand. Heaven won't let you move forward because forward, if you could go right now, would end with bankruptcy, lawsuits, shame you can't shake off in a year or even 10. You're being stopped not just for now, but for your own protection. Let me show you what it means for your relationships when a door slams. Friends who promised forever suddenly drop you. The invitations dry up overnight. Family act like you're invisible. The loneliness is a punch in the gut, especially when you see their posts, their parties, their pictures on your feed. They're laughing, living, and you're outside in the cold, staring through the glass. But what you don't see is the freedom that's growing under the skin. Every friend who leaves, every call that goes unanswered is room clearing for the ones who honor your name in secret, who will build you up instead of picking you apart. The real ones will show up in the strangest ways, in the slow season when you no longer have energy to impress. Heaven closes doors so you can finally see who remains when the music stops, when the party is long over. Now listen to this. When doors slam in your career or your platform, when you start losing opportunities other people would dream about, it feels like humiliation. The rumors circle, people wonder what you did wrong, former supporters go quiet. You start to question your talent, your calling, even your mind. But sometimes a slammed door in public is the only thing that will save your name for later. Sometimes what looked like the stage of your dreams would have become the place of public breakdown. Heaven's timing may look like sabotage, but it's actually sanctuary. You're being put in reserve. You're being kept for a bigger day, a day when your voice can't be drowned out, when the room is finally full of the right people, not just any people. Let me break this down for your health. A slammed door in your body, doctor's appointments canceled, treatments denied, schedules moved, is agony. You feel like you're losing ground. The unrelenting ache, the fear that your condition is getting worse, the sense that help will never arrive. And yet, how many times has heaven shut you into rest when you would have pushed yourself into collapse? How many times was the no about healing from the inside out before anyone else could see the change? You are being preserved, not rejected. The slammed door in your health isn't just about pause. It's about coming out stronger, finally whole, so you never return to this same cycle again. Here's what you need to hear about spiritual torment. When every prayer feels heavy, when the door to clarity slams and all you have left is questions, you are not forgotten. No, you're being hidden. Hidden from attacks meant to take you out. Hidden from manipulation, hidden from familiar spirits who would have gotten foothold if you'd had your way. The door that just slammed is sealing you inside a space where your roots grow deep. You are being established so that when the next season blows in, you do not move, you do not break, you do not bend. Let me tell you something. The sound of that door, that echo you can't shake, is both an ending and a beginning. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Heaven is synchronizing your calendar right now. The wait is not a waste. The delay is not a denial. The no from earth is a yes in hiding from heaven. Suddenly, overnight, when it's time, that door will not creak open but fly off its hinges. You will not walk through in shame but in victory. The job will call back. The relationship you feared lost will be restored in purity or replaced by something greater. Your bank account won't just recover, it will overflow. The silence will break with the right voices, the real friends, the chosen family. Your platform will be made for you, not just to you. Your health will bloom where you were withering. Now I decree it over you, chosen one. What slammed shut was not your ending. What broke your heart did not break your calling. What was kept from you is making room for what cannot be stolen. They wanted to see you stuck, but heaven is moving you forward. They hoped your name would be forgotten, but heaven is writing your testimony in bold. They said it was over, but heaven's yes is just beginning. Doors slammed, but heaven opens ways no man can close. Delay turned to acceleration, lack into overflow, isolation into true connection, fear into boldness, weakness into unbreakable strength. Suddenly, overnight, now, let me show you what comes next in the story heaven is telling with your life, chosen one. Right now you're standing in the echo of the slam, your faith quivering between God, why, and God, what now? That hollow space where reversal begins. This is the territory where everything shifts. You may not see the shift yet, but the shaking is under your feet. It's the moment when what was denied starts turning to what is being prepared. Doors don't slam to mock you, they slam to pivot your direction, to force you away from what would have poisoned your purpose so heaven can start paving new streets beneath your souls. What felt like rejection becomes the root of divine reversal. You thought you were falling, but you're being turned. Let me break this down for you. Right now, as the nights stretch long and the world keeps moving without you, something is changing behind the scenes. Doors that shut with violence are not always the end. They mark the boundary between old identity and heaven's next plan. You used to measure yourself by access. Rooms you could enter, hands you could shake, tables you were invited to. But heaven is stripping away the scaffolding. You are being weaned off recognition, applause, permission from others. The reversal begins the moment you realize your worth isn't tied to who called you back or who left you behind. The first taste of reversal is bitter because it takes the absence of what you wanted, the silence from those you admired, the quiet that feels like exile. But right now, beneath the bitter, heaven is stirring up sweetness nobody else will get the taste of. Your strength is growing under pressure. Your discernment is sharpening in the hush. What looks like lack is building muscles you'll need after the doors swing wide. Let me tell you about vindication, what it actually feels like when it comes. It doesn't land with red carpets and crowds at your step. Vindication slips in through the cracks, quietly at first. People who judged you, who whispered when the door slammed, who watched your name slide down their lists, they start to notice your survival, your glow through the ashes. At first, they act like they don't see the change. They pretend not to notice your peace, your new boundaries, your authority growing through the waiting. But vindication is patient, chosen one. Suddenly it accelerates. The same doors that slammed on you, new ones swing open and you walk through, head up, carrying scars that have become your signature, not your shame. Vindication is the phone call you never expected, the apology that can't undo the past but makes the present lighter. Vindication is when opportunities come, not because you pushed your way in, but because your absence made the right people hungry for your voice. They start repeating your words. They reference your example. Your faithfulness in the shut room starts echoing in open spaces you never bought your way into. You need to see it as it really is. Vindication isn't revenge. It's not seeing others brought low. It's seeing the fruit grow in places nobody believed it could. Let me explain why this is real for you right now in a dozen small ways. The coworker who saw you sidelined, who took your idea and ran, is suddenly out of step and the higher-ups notice. Not because you forced the truth, but because truth breathes. Truth floats up no matter how long people try to drown it. The family member who doubted you publicly starts bringing your name up gently, saying, "I always knew they'd make it." The invitation that dried up is replaced by a commission, one you didn't hustle for, one that matches your calling, not your compromise. Vindication isn't loud, but it is thorough. Every tongue that rose up muttering about your setback, every friend who peeped through the crack to see if you'd collapse, every enemy who made sport of your struggle, watches you rise steady and unshakable step by step. And now let me tell you about the moment commission arrives. There's a whisper in your spirit that you can't silence anymore. You've been healed where nobody watched you bleed. You've received comfort in a language nobody else could have spoken over you. What slammed shut behind you presses you forward into a field you never considered. A field with no map, no ceiling, only invitation. This is no longer about getting back what you lost. This is about stepping into what you can never lose. Heaven's commission on your life is birthed in barrenness, not in busy rooms. You are called out from the crowd not because you blend in, but because you stood alone when the doors locked tight. Heaven's commission works like this. You begin to find purpose rising under your pain. The very thing you thought disqualified you now opens doors for others. You start seeing people drawn to you by your scars, not just your strengths. People want the real. They come to you for wisdom born of nights like yours, prayers like yours, seasons when the answer was silence, and all you had was perseverance. You begin speaking what you never dared before, moving without apology because you know what closed doors feel like. You can spot a counterfeit opportunity at a glance. Commission makes you a guard over your own destiny, but over others too. Let me show you the physical evidence of your commission. Suddenly you become magnetic for provision you never hunted. The project you birthed in anonymity begins to attract the very resources you once begged others to unlock for you. You're not chasing doors anymore. They're being opened to you, even by hands that once tried to shut you out. People seek you for perspective, leadership you honed in private. You see the shift in your reputation. Even the critics have to admit you're still standing, still creating, still loving despite all that's slammed in your face. Commission takes you from barely making it to becoming an answer for someone else's need. Where you were once hungry, you begin to feed. Where you once asked for help, you become the helper. Where you once sat alone in loss, you now recognize the lonely and draw them in. And as this new season unfolds, it happens fast. Suddenly, overnight, rhythms you mastered in the wilderness become your steady cadence in the promised land. Not just for a moment, but as your new mode of living. Heaven's timing catches others off guard. People wonder where you came from, how you moved so quickly, how you went from obscurity to ownership. They try to trace your steps, but nobody can copy what was forged in silence and sealed in a room others never bothered to enter. Now is the time when what once closed against you will be the very grounds upon which you rise with boldness. No longer asking, "Why me?" but declaring, "Send me." Now hear me, chosen one. This whole journey wasn't just about reversal and vindication. It was always about launching you into the deeper waters of purpose. You are being commissioned not simply to enjoy open doors, but to speak life into those still staring at locked gates. Everything you learned alone is now your mantle in the multitude. Doors that once wounded you are now the testimony you carry. You don't just pass through threshold after threshold. You become the opener of doors for others, the guide in hallways where hope flickers, the witness that denied seasons always serve a redemptive purpose. So let the former slamming of doors drive you forward, not back. Let the pain become fuel, the rejection become propulsion, the silence become clarity. Let every no shape the kind of yes you carry, a yes that doesn't come cheap but cannot be stolen. You don't just get back what was withheld. You receive in sevenfold, pressed down, shaken together, running over, not just material but relational, internal, eternal. You don't return to the rooms that turned you away. You create new spaces. You don't chase recognition. You become the reason rooms are transformed. And now, I decree this over you in fullness. Every reversal becomes your release. Every insult becomes your endorsement. Every slammed door becomes your invitation. Delay explodes into divine acceleration. The ones who watched you break will witness your building. Those who weaponized your pain will see it become your platform. You will hold keys that others tried to keep hidden. You will stand in places they thought were above your reach. What was meant to cut you down will lift you up. Where you were denied, you will be distinguished. Where you were locked out, you will be launched. Every shutting was a setup. Every setback was a sovereign staging. Right now, suddenly, overnight, the doors open, the shadows break, the future rolls out in favor. Not just surviving, but surging. Not just restored, but commissioned. Not just seen, but sent. Every door that slammed shut can never stop what heaven decreed was yours. The hour is now. Walk forward and claim it. Let me tell you, chosen one, what so many never talk about. The ache after vindication, the quiet after the cheering stops. The weight that settles in when you realize vindication is not just a full circle moment, but a fork in the road. Because right now, as the doors that once defied you are replaced by gates swinging open, you may start to wonder if you're even the same person who first knocked in hope. Vindication remakes you. It rewrites old wounds into deep wells, carrying water for those still crawling through deserts. This is not about flaunting your win, not about proving a point. It's about feeling your insides finally exhale, unclenching the fists you learned to live with, letting go of the need to understand why every no carved you so raw. You begin to see it wasn't strangers who hurt you the deepest, it was those you trusted, those who promised to leave the door open only to bar you out when you needed them most. Let me show you how heaven redeems even those fractures. There comes a day, unmarked on any calendar, when a familiar name pops back up and fear tries to grip your gut. You wonder if you're called to let them in again, or if the lesson was just to move on. Vindication positions you not as a judge, but as a steward. You get to decide with wisdom forged in disappointment who you hand a key to and who you wish well from a distance. You don't need to chase the apologies. You've outgrown the need for anyone's permission to move forward. But what changes now is your posture. You refuse to return bitterness for bitterness. You don't defend yourself. You don't have to. Your breakthrough, your healed spirit, your unshakable peace is louder than any rumor ever whispered when you were in lack. Let me tell you about the invitations that start showing up. The offers that suddenly want you because your name has been refined by fire and your yes carries authority. They come dressed as opportunities, but you've grown eyes to see beneath the surface. You pause, you pray. You let discernment examine the fine print. Not every open door is your door. Not every platform is safe. Not every promoter is pure. Not every advocate is sincere. You don't rush. No, you steady yourself, letting the Spirit guide you step by step, learning to say no as bravely as you once begged for a yes. Sometimes the test, after all the closed doors, is whether you can walk past the ones you prayed for and choose only what God has truly assigned. Chosen one, let me take you into the secret weight of commission. When heaven sets you apart, when you wear the oil of vindication, there comes responsibility the crowds never see. You become an answer for the cries of others, the sign people watch for when their own path is blocked. God trusts the ones who endured the shut-ins, who learned humility when no one was watching, who did not curse the darkness but waited for the right morning. Suddenly you notice the lonely gravitate to you, not because you boast about your journey, but because your presence signals safety, your wounds bear wisdom, your boundaries shelter. Commission is heavy not because of the stage, but because of the stewardship. God entrusts you with pain that is not your own. You find yourself picking up phones on days you'd planned for rest, taking meetings you never scheduled, whispered prayers in the grocery store, eye contact with a stranger that ends up in tears and healing. Now let me show you this reversal on display, concrete, not abstract, right here, right now. The project that got killed in silence, the manuscript that got rejected, the creative work set aside because the gatekeepers didn't get it. Suddenly another publisher, a new investor, reaches out of nowhere. "We heard about you," they say. "We want that exact voice, that unique story, that roughness nobody else could polish out." In days, the very thing dismissed is requested at double, sometimes 10 times the value. Your bank account doesn't just recover, it starts to multiply, and you grow careful with what you plant and what you spend. Money no longer governs your mood. It becomes a servant, not a master. That house you thought you lost is dwarfed by the door that opens. You walk into keys you didn't compete for. Properties with favor written into their paperwork. Contracts with terms in your favor, not because you demanded, but because your very presence shifts negotiations. Let me spell out what happens with relationships. Old friends fade, their energies matching your new appetite for depth, not drama. But new companions show up, some humble, some powerful, all appointed. You sit at tables you would have been too scared to approach back when rejection haunted you. Every conversation is purposeful, nothing wasted. You see the hand of God knitting together networks, people you can trust with your real self, with your vision unedited, with your legacy. You become a safe house, not just a passing shelter. Suddenly, the loneliness that once crushed your spirit is swapped for circles that pray for you, protect you, and push you deeper into your calling. You become, without realizing, a connector for others. God uses your story to unlock rooms for people you'll never meet. The ones who left you behind. They circle back, sometimes for business, sometimes for comfort, sometimes seeking wisdom. From the wilderness, only you survived. Let me take you into one more reversal, your reputation. Right now, people talk. Some question, how did you come back so bright, so bold, so full of something we can't name? You feel heaven's smile. Your identity is no longer up for debate. Critics exhaust themselves in speculation, but the fruit of your labor, your peace, your impact is louder than accusation. You are envied, yes, but you are not provoked. You walk in kindness, knowing your true validation comes from above, not applause or attack. You're asked to lead in spaces that once called you unqualified. You're invited to consult on problems too heavy for lesser shoulders. Your name carries weight, not because you forced your way in, but because heaven's hand did the elevating. Let me tell you, just as real, that the final act of this reversal isn't about proving yourself or reopening shut doors. It's about understanding the trust God has placed on your shoulders. You're not just released to build for yourself, you're commissioned to be a midwife for others. The call is higher, the reach is greater, the sacrifice is steeper. Every resource placed in your hands comes with a purpose stamped onto it. Every dollar, every network, every open door meant to multiply, meant to serve, meant to birth new vision that outlives your own shadow. Your life becomes a sign that closed doors are never the finale, only the invitation to rise differently. Now listen, I decree, as this word seals around you like armor. Every no is now a new beginning. Every slammed door is now a sturdy foundation under your feet. Every lie told about you is now overshadowed by heaven's endorsement. Their plans to keep you small became the launching pad for your greatness. Where you were denied, you rise. Where you were belittled, you shine. Where they withheld, you now receive beyond measure. Nothing wasted, nothing stolen, nothing lost that isn't returning in double measure. With joy, with rest, with wholeness, with clarity, with legacy. You will see doors open that nobody can shut. You will feel wounds closing that no apology could ever reach. You will hold provision in your hands that you didn't chase after but arrived searching for you. Checks in the mail, opportunities unannounced, favor following you home. This is the turnaround, the outpouring, the hour of fullness. You are walking forward, chosen and unafraid. Suddenly, overnight, right now, you step into it. They tried to end your story. Heaven rewrote the script. They wanted you emptied. God made you overflow. Now take your keys, your call, and run. Every door you need will open on arrival, and nothing can stop what heaven has commissioned in you. Chosen one, in this moment when all the old echoes of slammed doors threaten to follow you into the new, let me show you why your reversal does not collapse under old shadows. Why your vindication does not flicker out. Why your commission cannot be revoked. Right now, as you step into spaces that once denied you entry, there's a temptation to hunch small again, to expect attack, to brace for rejection. After years of waiting, battling in silence, forging faith with no spotlight, there is still a rawness, a residue of having survived shut doors. Sometimes you glance back, half expecting to be summoned into some last tribunal, called to justify your right to stand where you are now standing. But heaven has closed that courtroom. The verdict is in and it is final. The penalty of your last season is paid in full. The accusation is silenced. The debt is cleared. You do not owe your presence to anyone's permission. Let me take you deeper into what happens when the reversal is no longer news but normal. Right now, it is not just a chapter. It is the climate of your life. People begin to notice the ease on you, the old strain in your voice, the apology beneath every request. Gone. There is a stable confidence, not born of arrogance but of having seen God do what no one else could do. This quiet certainty unsettles some, draws respect from others. When you walk into a room, you carry more than your ideas or your labor. You carry living proof that timing belongs to heaven and that no amount of slamming doors can stop a move that is marked with your name written in glory. Friends will marvel, doubters will retreat, and enemies will tie themselves up in knots trying to explain your survival. This is the first fruit of vindication. No longer having to beg, perform, or dance for crumbs of acceptance. The table is prepared and your seat cannot be stolen. Let me show you how vindication keeps multiplying. It is not a one-time event. It becomes a cycle of seed and harvest. For every year you wept in isolation, for every opportunity lost to closed doors and the sabotage of others, heaven initiates recompense by the handful. Not only in material ways, though you will see unexpected wires hit your bank, refunds on what was lost, surprise favor in courts and contracts, but in the way your name is spoken with respect by those who once whispered it with malice. Recommendations flow from unlikely places. Silence is broken by those who now want to link arms with the very one they once overlooked. Let me tell you about vindication in your calling. There was a time when your gifts were greeted with skepticism, your ideas dismissed as too bold or too raw. You watched others mimic your courage in safer forms, get praised for half the risk you took. But listen, right now others are reeling. What they tried to replicate is crumbling in their hands because it was birthed in a spirit of competition, not revelation. Your authenticity was forged in shut-in places in 3 a.m. wrestling matches, where there was no incentive but obedience to the voice that called you by name before you had an audience. Now those who once tried to rebrand your originality come asking for your mentorship, your insight, your blessing. And you, freed from the poison of rivalry, are able to sow generously, sharing without fear, no longer living as a guarded heart, but as a fountain uncapped. Let me take you into the unseen side of reversal, the tests that come once you're standing in the middle of what you once begged for. Blessing brings stewardship. Suddenly, the quiet corners where you used to cry become spaces where people gather, needing what you carry. Some knock at your door broken and hopeful, some desperate and demanding, some only pretending to celebrate your rise. You can feel the difference now, for your discernment was sharpened on the stones of disappointment. You are not flattered by attention. You are not wooed by hollow praise. You hear the pull behind people's requests, their real hunger, their need for what only hard-won hope can give. This is commission, not just compensation. Now more than ever, your days are orchestrated by obedience. You are given rooms to enter, assignments to accept, and boundaries to draw, not from fear but from wisdom. You begin to understand the deeper function of favor. It's not there to insulate you from future pain, but to position you as a conduit. Your provision comes not just to provide, but to pour out. Your story is not just escape, but evidence. Blessing without mission will wither. Blessing on assignment multiplies even in famine. Now you move as a harvester, gathering not only for your own need, but for others still lost outside the threshold, still staggering from the weight of slammed doors. You become a living argument for perseverance, a guidepost for those tempted to give up in the middle. Let me circle back to what happens internally as all this unfolds. The guilt of thriving while others still wrestle with lack tries to creep in. The temptation to shrink yourself, to stifle your voice in false humility is real. But listen, your flourishing is not a crime, it is a call. As you prosper in soul, mind, and substance, you become permission for others to pursue wholeness without apology. Your health begins to shift. Stress that once stole your sleep gives way to moments of deep peace. You catch yourself laughing again, surprised at how light joy sits on your shoulders after seasons of heaviness. Sleep returns sweetly. You find yourself remembering dreams you put on the shelf and daring to resurrect them. The depression of the long winter loses its grip as the rhythm of restoration settles in. Wholeness is not a luxury. It is your new atmosphere. Let me talk to you about vindication in the eyes of those who never knew your struggle. For some, you are now a miracle wrapped in ordinary skin. For others, you are a disruption. They try to explain you away, but the evidence keeps mounting. Your fruit can't be ignored. Your consistency dismantles old accusations. Reports of your fall were exaggerated. Your rise is undeniable. And for those who walked away in your drought, there's a silent ache, a quiet conviction, watching you host abundance without bitterness, amplify others without competition, share the stage without shrinking. Your radiance mocks every prediction of your defeat. Your generosity exposes every root of jealousy. Every gift poured out multiplies. Every seed sown in sorrow returns, harvested in joy. Let me say this plainly. You are no longer defined by what slammed shut, but by what opens up at your approach. You are no longer delayed by what others control. Decision makers who shut you out are now powerless to hinder your steps. Your yes rings louder now. Through your faithfulness, others are learning that scarcity and scrapping are not required to win in the kingdom. You teach that loss is not the end, and that setbacks carve the strength for supernatural comebacks. Now I decree in the unwavering name of the one who orchestrates reversal and outlasts every slammed door. Every stronghold that kept you isolated is broken. Every cycle of delay is shattered. The places of your greatest shame are banners for glory. What tried to finish you off only fueled your anointing. You are not tolerated, you are celebrated. You are not just surviving, you are setting the pace. The commission cannot be canceled, the calling cannot be revoked. You will go where others cannot follow, and you will lead where others are afraid to step. You become a thermostat, not a thermometer, shifting atmospheres everywhere your feet tread. Resources will pursue you not just to fill your hands, but to overflow into others' laps. The very names that were written off are now written in the book of honor. The places you only visited in prayer will become your address. The hollow places will be filled. The nights of terror will become testimony. Suddenly, overnight, right now, the tide is turned, and the field is yours. You are the open door. You are the fulfilled promise. You are heaven's yes in a world of closed rooms. Nothing and no one can shut what the Spirit has opened. Every slammed door now bows to the keys in your hand. So walk forward unafraid. They longed for your ending, God decreed your beginning. They spoke limits, heaven declared endless measure. All things new, all things restored, and the story isn't over. Now watch, doors open, generations follow, and the chain reaction of favor cannot be stopped.